Welcome back, guys, to another project. Tomorrow is gonna be Halloween, so I really need to get my butt moving on this project. I don't have a costume, but I have an idea for the truck. So stick around with this one and let's see how it comes out. Now that I'm done murdering my thirst, I'm gonna show you all the parts of this project. I'm gonna use a skeleton head and some arms, which are meant for your lawn, because it was one of the cheapest and quickest things I could get from Amazon. I will affectionately call this one Mr. Bones. We have a relay with a fuse. If you don't have one, don't worry. You can get a regular car relay and a fuse holder. You're just going to have to wire it up differently. You're going to need a button, the connector for the button. This one just happens to come with some pigtails. A couple of high intensity LEDs. These are meant for your brake lights, so they're pretty strong. And a witch's robe from some costume. Also, some 14 to 16 gauge wire should do it, as I'll be hooking up straight to the battery, but don't worry, we have the fuse. Here's a quick rundown. I attached to both the C line to the button here in white and the power to the fuse for the relay here in blue, into the fuse and out this other white wire, which will go to the blue wire of the button for constant power. Now these two will be ground and power coming from the truck's battery. Then we got the red wire and green alligator clip to the one side of the LED for power. The black wire is the common ground to the relay and switch. The relay will act as a bridge for the ground to complete the circuit.
Nuclear reaction with a flux capacitor. Carry the two, changing its atomic isotoner into a radioactive spider. Fuck you, science!
But anyway, if you like a more detailed explanation on how this circuit works and how the wiring works and how I laid all this out, drop a comment below and I'll make a video on that. And for you aspiring YouTubers or even pros, a quick tip if you ever want to show your viewers how to wire up something, make sure you mismatch the colors just like I did so it looks more confusing than it actually is. Now that this is mocked up, we have the relay which switches on. You can hear it. Okay. And we got power. So this is only going to turn on when this turns on. I'm excited. This is going to be sick. Let's go. Alright, so I have this box which is full of paint. I think I'm just going to use it for now. I wanted to 3D print a control box for this, but my printers are all tied up with printing something for the next video. Stay tuned for that. But I guess this cardboard box will do in the meantime. I want to make this serviceable, just in case I have to replace the fuse or something, or even the relay. So I have to keep in mind the proper length of the wires so I can make sure when I open the box, the lid of the box rather, I won't be putting strain on them or yanking them by accident. These washers should hold this securely, I think. Instead of cutting off unused wires, I'm going to shrink tube them back so they're out of the way, but it also gives me the option down the road to use them. When you're doing wiring work, just make sure that you take your time, you're being patient, and just follow your own schematics or plan that you set out before you started, and it'll all work out. Don't worry. It's really not as hard as it looks. Now let's give this a quick check before putting everything aside. Alright, we're good to go, guys. Next up, Mr. Bones. Hello, Mr. Bones. Let's put some eyeballs in ya. This won't hurt a bit, I promise. Alright guys, we're pretty deep into this, and I had to put my camera down because it was running out of battery. But let me catch you up to speed as I'm running out of time here and I'm working through the night. So I used UV resin to secure the LED bulbs in each of the eye sections. Then on the back, I potted them with some of the UV resin as well, just to hold everything together securely. Then I put the LED sockets on in the back and the wiring. Then I secured them with some of the 5-minute epoxy, and I filled the rest with some of this fun, great stuff, big gap filler foam. Wow, that's a mouthful. Now I'm also using some liquid electrical tape to make these wires waterproof, so I won't have to worry about the rain, as I'm gonna put this in my car. Now that the wiring and Mr. Bones are done, let's go to the truck. We got the wiring all bundled up. We got Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones, cover up. Well, it is Mr. Bones after all. We have the robes. There are some spiders for the grill, and some 3M vinyl for the roof to mount onto. So now I'm going to tie the zip tie on that side to the wires and then pull them out, pull them this way so I can put it into the battery. So the zip tie to the wire and then essentially just pull it back. Okay, sorry, this is a little easier with the camera down. So basically pass the wires through. And then from here, you can just tie it down to terminals. Now, like I said, I'm working through the night, so I'll explain more once we get some daylight as far as the setup. Okay, so everything's all hooked up. We have some daylight. I'm still awake somehow. Let me show you how the roof looks now. Alright, so this is what I did. I put down some of the carbon fiber vinyl that I had. Just happens to be the only vinyl I had around for the car. That way I'm not going to be ruining the paint or the metal on top. I don't want to scratch it or anything. So this is basically my protective surface. Oh, got a helicopter at like 6 in the morning. 1 second. Still windy, but let's do this. What I'm basically doing here is I'm putting down a bunch of duct tape, because that Gorilla tape is pretty strong, pretty thick. Seems to work pretty well. And then I am looping around a zip tie so I can tie down the arms. The arms still move, which is kind of cool. So you can set them however you want. And it's just a bunch of lattice of the tape to provide some support. This is pretty sturdy. The head, it just bobbles left and right, but back and forth is pretty stable. Back here we have the wiring going back on the neck. And here we have Mr. Bones with some indecent exposure. And cover that up. And just using some zip ties, I basically wrap this around through a couple of holes. You can see here, just weaved in and out of the fabric, and it holds it down. And it just looks like a skeleton with a ghostly back flying around and some red eyeballs. Now this, with the wind, originally I was afraid that the drag was gonna push this straight down, but it seems to catch enough wind over here that it lifts it up and then it just takes off. So that's good. Worst case, I think I was just gonna put some wires so that it holds it back. But so far so good. Now the wire looms running to the side, down the rain gutter part, and right through here. Now I'm not too worried about the door crushing onto the wires because this is soft. Then got the rest of the wire in there. I don't know how much I needed, so it's all wrapped up. And back into our control box, which works. And then we got some power through the fender, like I explained before. And in the front, we got our spiders mounted on with some more of those zip ties right in the grill. You know, pretty good. And that's all there is to it. Pretty straightforward. Like how it came out. All right, let's do the reveal. guys, happy Halloween. Thanks for sticking around through this project that just came out of nowhere. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.